4 defeated the Sharks 18 in a good game of footy. Maybe lived up to the hype, I guess. It was pretty good for a large chunk.
Yeah.
Stats, Barney, and then give us your thoughts on everything.
It was 5 tries to 3. 5 out of 5 conversions, played 2 out of 3 for the Sharks, 2 out of 2 penalty attempts for the Storm, and 1 out of 2 for the Sharks. 81% completion, played 84, 31 out of 38 sets, 28 out of 33, 150 plus post contact meters for the Storm, 7 line breaks to 6, 36 tackle busts to 29, 10 offloads to 9, 1 forced dropout from both sides, 0 40-20s, 254 tackles played, 321. No ruck infringements from either side. 1 inside the 10 for the Storm, 2 inside the 10 for the Sharks. 7 penalties conceded to 8, 9 errors to 5. Harry Grant made 38 tackles. McGuinness made 41 and made himself a meme star. Munster with 183 metres and Mulitano with 210. Hughes missed 4 tackles, made 12. Pappenhausen missed 3 and made 4. Moylan missed 5 and made 20. And Will Kennedy missed 3 and made only the 1 tackle. Mulitano with 125 Supercoach points, Talakai with 114, and Munster with 96. Again, I think you're underselling things here, Daggy, because you're going to prime up for the Tigers game. I thought this was close to the best game of the year, to be honest. It was up-tempo. It had 2 teams that were whacking people in defence and attack, and you had 2 teams that came out with an attacking mindset that actually went at each other. Rather than just sit back and get through their sets, they were looking to score tries from the very start of this game. And they looked like they had a point to prove. And we generally know when Melbourne have a point to prove, they're the team that seems to prove the point more often than anybody else. So I really enjoyed this game. I thought the Sharks were very competitive for 50 to 60 minutes of this game. And we're probably better the team for half of that time. But there was 10 minutes before halftime and the last 15, 20 minutes of the game where they just wilted away and couldn't go with the Storm. Storm didn't slow down at all during the entire match. If anything, it got quicker and quicker towards the end of the game. The speed of the play the ball in this game was tremendous, and the line speed of defence for both sides. I don't think I've seen a quicker game this year, but momentum shifted with a penalty. Got the Storm on the front foot, and they scored 2 tries in the next sort of 5 or 10 minutes. But the Sharks dropped their head as well, and they really shouldn't have been, letting definitely the second try. And the first one was, they got down there and scored straight away. But the next one was the result of them having their heads down. I thought the Sharks probably bombed 2 or 3 tries, especially with Hiroti on that right side. There was twice when he was away, and all he had to do was fling it back into the centre and they would have scored 2 tries, and both times he held it and both times he got tackled. I think once he dropped the ball. So, that's, if Katoa was there, I think the Sharks probably score both of those tries and the score ends up somewhere where it should have been 34-26 or 34-28, something like that. But I think the Sharks probably deserve to be a little bit closer at the end of this game. This is my take on the Storm is they have the best 1, 7, 9, and 6 in the comp, not as an all-round players, but they are the best running players in those positions. Harry Grant is the best running 9, Munster, Hughes are the best running halves, and then you got Pappenhausen who's pretty close to the best running fullback. So as soon as there's half an opportunity, any one of those 4 just fucking start running. And then defenses start panicking, and then what do? There's one of the other blokes is floating on their inside and they can run it just as fast and they've got just as deadly a step, and they tear teams apart. A lot of it isn't even because they're being completely dominant. It's just they see half an opportunity and those 4 guys just take it 95% of the time. So what do you say? I thought it was a tremendous game. Nas and Kafusi were really good, but there wasn't a lot of... I thought the Sharks probably won the forward battle just with Brayley, Rudolph and McInnes. Teague Wilton was good. You had Nas and Kafusi were really good on the other side. Harry was close to the best player on the field again, which he does week after week. Mulitano and Talakai were exceptional on that side, and I'm surprised they even kept going to the right, to be honest. I think they should have just put all their eggs in that basket and just kept coming down Talakai's side for the rest of the night. But Pappenhausen was good. Olam was very good. It was probably the best game I think we've seen out of Olam for a while. And Munster looked like the best player in the comp. So
did look like the best player in the comp, Gump?
Yeah,
He did. And look, that's nearly the best analysis of a game I've ever heard too, Barney. So I don't
Thank
you, mate.
That was
mesmerised.
That was in the grand final for analysis. Look, it's proved that Cronulla are a top 4 team. Like definitely on that performance. And if Melbourne are the measuring stick, then Cronulla aren't that far off. You consider in that game that Cronulla made 2 handling errors and still lost by 20. Yep. So you think about it. So Cronulla have played a shit-hot game and used the ball, played the edges. They made line breaks, all the things that you want to do against Melbourne, dominated the middle, and they still lost by 20. Look, you're right, Barney. It shouldn't have been a 20-point margin in the end. I think Cronulla blew some opportunities and probably, and the coach did say after the game that he thought that a few of the tries were soft, like the Harry Grant try from dummy half probably shouldn't have been scored. Another couple, they were a bit loose in terms of that, and you can't be loose against Melbourne or Penrith in the comp, and that's the lesson that they'll learn. But look, I don't reckon they're that far off in terms of that, but they will have to play their very, very best to beat those teams where they sit now, 12 months' time. And that's probably how long it'll take them. It'll take them a season to really be competitive with those teams if they stay on the same trajectory that they are now in terms of that, because coaching will take 12 months for them to get where he wants them to be. To morph into that. So, look, I thought Cronulla were great, and I just thought Melbourne were better. And the individuals in the spine, you're right, they just make the most of opportunities. Munster was next level. Really, in that game, he should get 3-2 and 1. He was that dominant, really, as a force in that game that, he was next level in terms of what he did on the field and just, and every time, and that's the thing with these teams, every time Cronulla scored and got within a try, 2 minutes later, Melbourne had scored.
Yeah.
Like the next set after, 3 times, Cronulla scored, Melbourne scored the next set that they had the ball after Cronulla had scored. And whether it be through a penalty or whatever it was, and it wasn't through handling errors because they didn't make any. Until like the 65th minute or something. So they weren't even dropping the ball to give Melbourne opportunities. They just took them. Like they had 5 chances to score and scored 5. Cronulla probably had 8 chances to score and scored 3. So you take it. If they were Melbourne and that clinical, they win.
Oh, absolutely.
But they're a little bit off. But, they're a top 4 team. I said at the start of the year that Parramatta would finish higher. Sharks will finish higher than Parramatta on what I'm seeing at the moment. Because I've penned Parramatta. Any team that the Tigers beat can't win it. So they're penned. They get 1 chance for me. The Tigers beat them, they're done.
Pretty simple. For a team that lost by 20, I think Sharks beat any other team in this comp bar 2 by 20 if they play like this against any other team, including they would have put 40 on Parramatta the way Parramatta were the other day.
Yep. That's one sentence has summed it up. You're right.
I'm still a little bit more of Barney's analysis. Ollie, got it, Dad.
It was stupendous. One may say.
Stupendous.
I will say this: while it was a great performance by Cronulla, and they've shown that they probably are a top 4 team, even borderline premiership contender. I will say that, and it's nothing against Cronulla. I'm saying this more as a positive towards Melbourne. There is still that gap. Melbourne is still, I'd say it's pretty obvious to say, but Melbourne are probably closer to Penrith than Cronulla are to Melbourne. And the way Penrith have been playing, to say that about Melbourne is a big positive for them. As you said, Barney, like the 1, 6, 7, and 9, I'd nearly argue that overall, it's the best in the comp, not just running, bar one team. And it's pretty obvious who that one team is. But then they're actually not that far off. I feel like...
ball playing, they're probably second. You know what I mean? So
they are well and truly hitting their stride now, Melbourne. And for Cronulla to put in that performance as well, I'm not saying Cronulla win the premiership next year or anything, but this performance sort of reminded me, even though Cronulla lost in this one, of in 2020 when Penrith and Melbourne met for the first time and Penrith beat them. And I think that was when people sort of went, okay, this team, more than just a good football team. And that's at least what I took away from Cronulla in this performance, even in defeat. They're going to be there when the whips are cracking. I'm not ready to say that they're a premiership contender only because of the two at the top, really. But they're not going to be far off, I don't think.
They're starting to feel like a clear third now.
Yeah, somewhere between third and
Yeah.
fifth, depending on the day. But again, it comes down to the missed tackles. Like there was the whole back line missed 3, the halves missed 5, and the 5 out of a back rower. Like it's just, you can't miss that many tackles and win, especially against Melbourne. So
Well, we're giving 3 to Munster, 2 to Harry. Where's 1 going, Barney?
I had 2 to Talakai and then 1 to Harry. But
Okay.
I thought Talakai was the reason that Mulatano scored both his tries and he scored one himself. So
Well, I don't think Talakai had a shit touch. Like we're talking about
Yeah.
Scott Sorensen, I don't think Talakai, again, had a poor touch every time he touched the ball. He's getting to be one of those players now that you want to watch the Sharks to see how he plays because he's exciting. He gets the ball and something happens. Like, I really like him.